guys, it's me, Sandra, TTC 45. I am on my way to the OB. I'm not really bringing you guys a bump date today, although I might show you a bump at the end of this video because I forgot to include a bump at the end of my last video. However, I do owe you guys a update about the issue that took place when I first got pregnant and trying to find an OB. So that's what I want to talk about today so that I won't forget to tell you ladies and gents if you're watching. But those of you who have been following me at least a year, you know I parted ways with my old OB. I got into it with his desk clerk or whatever you want to call him that answers the phone, and she went back and gave her side to the story to him, and he never even spoken with me about what took place that day. Instead, he sent a really nasty message to me through his nurse that I did not appreciate, so I ended up filing a complaint with the office manager as well as with the hospital, what do they call that, the patient, some department where you have complaints against nurses or hospitals. I mean nurses or doctors. Anyway, of course the OB did not like the fact that I made that complaint against him, so he decided he no longer wanted me as a patient, which was fine by me, because if you don't want me as a patient, I'm truly not going to force myself to be your patient, because at that moment the trust between patient and doctor has been broken. So I was supposed to be looking for a new OB, but I figured since I was TTCing and trying to have another baby anyway, I'll just wait to see if I end up being successful in getting pregnant and look for an OB at that time. Or, of course, if anything had arise before then and I needed to see an OB right away, then I'll just go and choose an OB. I just was not in a rush to look for another OB. But, of course, my last FET was successful, and I started looking for a new OB. I do have a Blue Cross Blue Shield HMO plan, and as a part of that plan, I'm only able to see a certain doctors in a certain network, and the network that I see my doctors is the same network that has my previous OB in there. So I knew that he was not going to be a good choice for me, so I knew I had to find somebody else. And when I called to try to choose a new OB, they have this new way of doing things. If you're calling for a first-time pregnancy and you don't already have an established OB, you have to go through this appointment desk intake, and they have to assign you an OB, and they assign you an OB based on not only the availability of the OB, but it's also based on when your baby is due, because they look at how many deliveries that they have to do for that one doctor in that particular month. So those are the two things they look at when they determine which doctor they're going to assign to you. When she called me back, of course she noticed in the system that I was seeing, of course, my previous doctor. And at the time, he was really the only one available with available appointments. All the rest of the OBs was not available till sometime midsummer and summer. I knew I was high risk, and waiting till midsummer and end of summer was just really going to be out of the question. So I asked her if she can check with any of the other doctors that was in his practice. It didn't have to be him in particular, but at least another OB doctor that was in his practice. So she sent a email to one of the other OB doctors that was in his practice, and that OB stated that he was not able to see me. She didn't say why he was not able to see me. She just said he wasn't able to see me. So I'm like, okay. Then she said, but we've sent messages to other doctors as well. I said, okay. So she also told me that they have a doctor that is within a network, but she has her own private practice, and she gave me her phone number, told me I can contact her and see if she had any availability. So I contacted her office, and of course I had to do like this mini kind of background with the nurse to let her know about my previous history with pregnancy, how I became pregnant with this pregnancy, and you know, pretty much let her know my risk factors. The nurse called me back a couple of days later and said that the OB suggested that I see a doctor at the hospital because she was in a private practice and I was just a little bit too high risk for her to take me on. So I understood that. I'm still waiting on the appointment desk to contact me back about another doctor. So they contacted me back and told me that they sent email to another doctor, and that doctor also got back with them and said they wasn't able to accept me, but that they were still waiting on other doctors to get back with me. So at this point, I'm starting to get a little bit suspicious. Why aren't these doctors able to accept me, and they're not giving me a reason? They just telling me, the appointment desk lady, when I asked her why, she was like, well, they don't give us a reason, they just tell us they're not able to accept. I'm like, okay. So I contact the hospital patient advocacy, that's what it's called. I contacted the patient advocacy number and I explained to them my situation, told them I was high risk and that these physicians was turning me away. I'm like, these are the only physicians that are in my network. It's not like I have choices. It's not like I can go and choose another hospital or choose another set of doctors. I have to see a doctor within this network. And I said, so far 2 doctors have turned me down without cause or reason, and I need to know what is going on. So she said she was gonna, check into it and she was gonna get back with me. In the meantime, while she was doing that, I had got in contact with my community clinic. We do have a community clinic in my town. I don't know why I can't get rid of this cough. We do have a community clinic in my town that takes patients based off of income. So they don't really require insurance. So this was a clinic I knew I can go to and I didn't have to worry about, if my insurance doesn't cover it, then, I have to pay out of pocket. Even if I had to pay out of pocket, it was not going to be that much because they don't charge much. So I made an appointment to see a midwife. And the appointment was very quick. I mean, they made the appointment for like the very next week. And while I was waiting on my appointment with the midwife, I got a call back from the patient advocacy at the hospital. And she told me that the reason why I was having a hard time getting into the OB was because the previous OB had let me go, and that they look at that very seriously. I said, first of all, the previous OB let me go as a form of retaliation because he was upset that I filed a complaint. And I said, I didn't think it was going to affect me, otherwise I would have fought it. I did not fight it because if he don't want me as a patient, why would I fight for him to be my doctor if he does not want me to be my doctor? But if I would have known this was going to affect me in the future getting another OB, I would have fought that to the end. I said they should not be turning me away because of him letting me go, and they don't even know the full story. She's like, well, I agree. Maybe you want to contact them and speak to the manager over there and see if there's anything they can do about it. I didn't want to contact them. I was pissed off. I figured I had already had an appointment with the midwife at the community clinic. I wasn't even going to worry about it. You know, I just left it alone. So, I don't know if it was before my appointment or right after my appointment with the midwife, I received a call back from the appointment desk telling me that they've checked with all the doctors in the network and neither of the doctors are willing to see me. And I couldn't do nothing but laugh. I didn't even really care at that moment because I knew I had that appointment with the midwife. I'm like, okay, fine. So I went to my appointment with the midwife. She was very nice. Turns out she saw me before in the past. I don't remember. She said it was a long time ago. She was very attentive to my needs, and she did all the tests that the OBs normally do on your first prenatal visit. So all of that was knocked out right then and there. She was the one to order my echocardiogram as well as my EKG because of my age. She did explain to me that I will have to see a regular OB instead of her because of the fact that I was very high risk. She also told me she was going to refer me to the maternal fetal medicine, and at that time, you know, I was right back to square one as far as being transferred to a regular OB. So I got on my computer and I started researching all the places that you can call or write to or email when you're having issues like I was having with getting into an OB, all because of one OB chose to dismiss me. After I got through sending out those emails, because most of them was emails, I think I sent maybe 1 or 2 letters by hand. But after I got through sending out those emails, I get a call back from the appointment desk telling me that one of the doctors was willing to see me. And that doctor is the doctor I'm on my way to go see now. And I had not heard of her before, but I did, of course, after I got off the phone with her, go and research and see what, you know, what her rates was or whatever, what her ratings was, or if anybody had any complaints or anything against her. She's in a network. She's at a different practice from where my last OB was. And her first available appointment wasn't until the end of September. Now, as I'm speaking now, it is the end of September. So can you imagine all the way from that point to now, me seeing the OB for the first time? For the first time. I am 19 weeks, almost 20 weeks. I will be 20 weeks on tomorrow. And I will be just now seeing the OB. But that's when she had the appointment available. They said they didn't have a sooner appointment for me. Then I said, okay, whatever. So I went ahead and scheduled an appointment because I figured that I can continue to see the midwife until then, because she did tell me that she'll continue to see me until I get into an OB. So I figured I'll continue to see the midwife until I get in, and the midwife was going to be referring me to the maternal fetal medicine anyway, so I wasn't really worried about it. And right at the end of the conversation with me and the appointment desk clerk, she was like, oh, she wanted to also tell me to let you know that you need to be perfectly honest with her when you come in to see her, because you was not honest with her the last time she saw you. Now that threw me for a loop, because first of all, her name did not even strike any type of memory. Like, I have no clue who this lady is. I can remember all the OBs I had all the way back to when I gave birth to my oldest child. His name was Dr. Rosner. I will never forget that OB. I'm like, I ain't never seen no. She looked in the computer. She said, well, she said she saw you at the emergency room. I said, I ain't never seen no OB in the emergency room. Even when I had that tumor, I didn't see an OB. They told me they contacted the OB and let them know what was going on, and the OB suggested that I come in and see them within the next couple of days, but no OB came down to the emergency room to talk to me. And then when I had that big massive bleed right before I had my miscarriage with the last FET, they called the OB on call and they talked to the OB. I didn't talk to the OB, but the OB told them to have me to come in the next week so they can check me. When I went in to see the OB, it turns out she was the OB that I went to see. Now, I didn't see her at the emergency room, but I did see her at her office a week later after that visit to the emergency room. She was the one that told me that she believed that I had lost the baby. I had also told her at that appointment that I had IVF, and she suggested that I follow up with the IVF doctors so that they can determine what the next steps is. She said if I want to come back to her to do a DNC, she'd be happy to do the DNC for me. She told the appointment desk clerk that I was not upfront with her about having to do IVF. That pissed me off, because if I wasn't upfront with you about having to do IVF, why would you send me back to the IVF doctors if I wasn't upfront with you? Secondly, when I first contacted the appointment desk, I let them know in the door that I had IVF because they wanted to know when was my last menstrual. I told them I didn't know when the last menstrual was because I had a frozen embryo transfer. So she knew right in the door that I had IVF. So that kind of I was turned off by this lady already. I did not want to go see her. I did not want to go see her because I was already turned off from her. I'm like, I cannot believe that I haven't even seen this woman and we already getting into it. So after I hung up the phone with the appointment desk clerk, I had already made the appointment and everything. I was so heated by what the appointment desk clerk had relayed back to me from the doctor, and I was still pissed off about the fact that she made my appointment all the way at the end of September. So I called them back come Monday, because this was on a Friday, and I called them back on Monday and I told them, I said, I tell you what, cancel that appointment. I said, because I didn't appreciate the message she sent to me, and I don't even know who the hell she is. I said, on top of that, I'm not waiting all the way to no end of September to see no OB when I have a high-risk pregnancy. I said, I'm not going to do it. I said, so you could just go ahead and cancel it. So she was like, okay. She, to my knowledge and understanding, she canceled the appointment. And I think it was a week later or a few days later, I don't remember how long it was. It wasn't that long. I received a call from this doctor's office, and they called to schedule me an appointment. I said, schedule me an appointment. I said I had already canceled the appointment that she scheduled me. She's like, I know, but she wanted me to reach out to you to let you know that she needs to see you sooner than the end of August, because that's just too far to see you, and she does realize that you are pregnant with twins and you are very high risk. So she made the appointment for the following week. So I'm still kind of ticked off about the conversation that took place on the phone, but I figured, you know, what the hell, let me go see what this doctor is about. Right now, I have to be more concerned about my babies and not concerned about my feelings or how I feel about this hospital, this clinic, this network, and all the other stuff that comes with it. So when I finally went to go see her, she was surprisingly nice. She didn't bring up anything that she had the nurse or the appointment that's lady relayed back to me, she just talked about, you know, the risk factors as far as being pregnant with twins. She wasn't really judgmental. She wasn't really, you know, harsh about it. She was just letting me know what happens with monodichrotic twins, which I had already knew from research and being a part of that group before I even came to her. But pretty much she just reiterated what kind of twins I was having and what that meant for me. And just explained to me how things was going to go as far as preterm labor, and let me know that I can have a natural birth if the largest twin head is down. So I didn't really grade her by that first visit. It took several more visits after then. I've seen her now a total of maybe about 5 times already. I've seen her because I've seen her back to back at one point, and then I started seeing her every other week. So I can officially say that I kind of like her. Her bedside manners is very nice. Her nurse is very nice. She is always asking me if I have any issues, questions, or whatever. But never hesitate to ask me. They're very generous when telling me to contact them for any reason. Don't never be afraid to contact them. So it looks like things is going a little better. Again, I had to shape up and accept it for the sake of the babies, not because I really wanted to get into an OB. But once I give birth to my babies, then I get to change my plan. The only time you can change your plan after enrollment period is if there's any life-changing events that took place. And giving birth is considered a life-changing event. So I do plan to get out of this HMO. The only reason why I was in this HMO is because they have the best fertility coverage out there. There's no better plan out there than an HMO plan. So that was the only reason why I was in this HMO plan. I don't plan on having no more children, so I can go ahead and exit this plan, and I can just get on a PPO plan. With the PPO plan, I could choose whatever doctor or hospital I want to go to. I do not have to be subjected to going to one hospital, one network of doctors, and deal with all of their BS, and they all can look in the system and tell what the last doctor did or what happened with me with the other doctor and all that. No. I'm over that. I'm so over that. So I'm very okay with where I'm at now. I don't have much longer to go. Tomorrow I'll be 20 weeks, so I'll be halfway there. So it's just a matter of time, and I'm just dealing with it, you know, as the days go by. So there you have it, ladies. I owed you guys that video, and I'm glad I got a chance to let you know. I'm gonna try to get out and see if y'all can see my bump. I just pulled up in front of the doctor. I only have like 10 minutes. So let me see if I can just turn this around a little bit. Okay, here's my bump. This right here is my Dexcom. They have this embedded in my belly to keep my keep an eye on my sugars. Here's from the front, and here's from the other side. And that's all I have for you today, ladies. So next week I'll be giving you my halfway through bump day, letting you know how my anatomy scan went. and letting you know how many people now know I'm pregnant. Thanks, ladies, for your time. Sticky baby dust to all of you ladies out there. TTC. Bye-bye.